Hi, my name's Nick Devon, Brisbane's best Mario tennis player that you haven't heard of, and welcome to Radio Friendly, a safe space where we like to say fucking shit. Today I'm returning with another After the Hype, a series of articles or videos where I sit down with an album after the hype dies down and see if it's worth everyone losing their shit over. Today's album is Hope Downs by Rolling Blackouts Coastal Fever. Rolling Blackouts are an Australian indie rock band from Melbourne. They've started around 2013 and have released a slew of EPs and singles over the years. They recently signed with Sub Pop last year, released an EP with them, and now this is their this is their debut album. I've seen them live a few times, just in random gigs around Brisbane and in festival slots. I saw them back when they toured with their Right Back single, and at the time I thought they weren't receiving the praise that they sort of deserved. They've gone on record and said that their favourite band or their inspiration are Australian indie rock legends, the Go-Betweens, and they certainly do wear their influences on their sleeve. 4 out of the 5 members of the band play guitar. You've got 1 bass, 2 electric and 1 acoustic, and it's this duality of sounds that makes Rolling Blackouts really interesting to listen to. Using 4 guitars really creates this thick, of course, guitar sound to their music. And it's this thick sound that's become a staple to Rolling Blackouts sound. But is their debut album any good, or is it just a rehash of the sounds that we've already heard? Hope Downs is a 35-minute, real tight 35-minute album, only 10 tracks. Each song is crafted with catchy choruses, memorable guitar lines, real catchy melodies. But it's the songwriting style that I find most interesting, and I think it's captured perfectly on Hope Downs. Rolling Blackouts very rarely use the conventional pop or rock style of songwriting where it's verse, chorus, verse. Instead, they use their guitar melodies that act almost like a theme. These catchy, these memorable guitar moments act as that memorable chorus that you would usually sing. Instead, you hear that and you think, okay, that's the theme of the song. The lyrics rarely repeat in the chorus or the verse like they would in a traditional rock song. Here, once again, it's the same melody being played where a chorus would be, but of course new lyrics, and that's what I come back to. It's these melodies that carry the theme throughout song to song. And then on the topic of lyrics, these lyrics that are sung very rarely rhyme either. It's almost like this poetic stream of consciousness throughout their lyrics. It's reminiscent of Go-Betweens, reminiscent of Paul Kelly's lyrical style. This trait has been used a lot in Australian rock, specifically in the 80s rise of Australian rock with even Midnight Oil. This emphasis of more of a jam formula instead of the traditional rock and pop style is showcased perfectly on the opening track, Air Conditioned Man. I love the dueling electric guitar melodies and the bopping bass that just carries in the background, and the energetic drum rhythm that's reinforced by the strum of the continual and consistent strum of the acoustic guitar in the background. You might not necessarily hear acoustic guitar chords or acoustic sections, but it's this woodiness of the acoustic that gives their sound depth, and it thickens the music of Rolling Blackouts. This technique is very simple, it's very smart, considering it's guitar heavy music, not heavy guitar music, but you have a lot of guitars in one track. The band cleverly utilize each guitar, which is something that I love to listen to in their music. The band also include these almost spoken word passages, reinforcing this poetic feel in their lyricism, and that's these spoken word passages are spoken over just the band jamming in the background, this eclectic guitar music. This is another trait that has been borrowed from, the 80s Aussie rock stars. Go-Betweens did this stuff, once again Midnight Oil as well. Rolling Blackouts don't stray away from their Australian identity either, which is a trait that I find that a lot of Australian artists do to try and break it big overseas. This band don't do that. If anything, it's their strong sense of Australian identity that sets them apart from their contemporaries. Thick Aussie accents litter all these songs, as well as distinctly Aussie lyricism. This is seen in tracks Talking Straight and Bellarine, where they emphasize, you know, the Aussie all day, Jenny's old coupe, my ballerine, pretty much sounds like that. I'm sorry. There hasn't been a band this Australian since Red Gum, in my opinion. The track Mainland, once again, sort of steers away from the traditional rock, pop, songwriting style, but it's still a catchy as fuck song. Vocals are shared amongst 3 of the members of the band, Fran, Tom and Joe. This is through the entire album, not just on Mainland. They all have distinct singing styles and they all bring something different to the track. I don't know who's singing on Mainland, but whoever it is does bring a very folky sort of style to it, very similar to Paul Kelly, I reckon. The chorus is catchy thanks to the real thick guitar hook, and it is the same chorus repeated all the way through the track. Sister Jeans is another excellent track. Very guitar heavy once again, like this entire album. There's a very bright and summery feeling to Rolling Blackouts, like it's the perfect sort of summer soundtrack, this band. Maybe it's the fact that they don't stray away from their Aussie identity and their Aussie drawl. I find the melodies very bright and very uplifting when I listen to their music. There's only 2 sort of downer tracks on the album. When I mean downer, they're not depressing, they're just a lot slower and not as energetic as the other ones. These are How Long and Cappuccino City. They still fit the mood and the atmosphere of the entire album, but they aren't as energetic and driving as the other tracks. The closing track, The Hammer, not as energetic once again, but it's still catchy. Catchy choruses and memorable guitar lines. I think it's a good all-round closer for the album. Rolling Blackouts Coastal Fever have a great dynamic for this band, and so they should. There's 5 members and they're all utilized perfectly throughout the album. They have very clever songwriting and lyricism, and they have the ability to cram so many ideas succinctly into tracks that are sometimes only 3 minutes long. They crescendo and decrescendo when necessary. There's always these dueling guitar melodies going on, energetic guitar solos. It might sound chaotic if you were to listen, but there's always something going on in their music, and that's what I like to listen to. The band are jamming from track to track. There's always the electric guitar's always playing an interesting melody. The acoustic guitar is always continually strumming in the background to provide that depth to their music, and the drums are always providing a rolling sort of progressive driving beat to it. And there's just the clever and simple lyricism that's catchy and fun to listen to. It might sound like Rolling Blackouts are just another indie rock band, but underneath that thin genre cover are 5 musicians who seem to be very in tune with each other and vibe and work off one another when they're playing together. And they've gifted us with one of the best albums of the year, certainly one of the best Australian rock albums of the year, one of the best Australian rock albums in a long time. And now everyone can get off that fucking Gang of Youths bandwagon. Thanks for watching the video. It's been a while since I've done a video. I've been writing a bit more on the blog. My last After the Hype was a Courtney Barnett one. That one's written up on the Radio Friendly blog, so check that out. Follow me on Facebook, like, subscribe and comment on the videos. Some people have been commenting and giving me some feedback, so thank you very much for that. Give me a shout out on whatever. I'll find you, I'll talk to you. Thanks for watching. Cheers.